want to touch a little bit more on what we talked about the other day on the podcast about gender roles, men and women, and really how far we've come as a society. And so I received quite a few messages from you guys on Instagram saying I'm so grateful that me and my husband have interchangeable gender roles or parenting roles. Sorry guys, I'm just getting over this cold and I'm not going to make it. And it made me stop and think how grateful I am for my husband and for this day and age and how far we've come as a society. Now, this doesn't mean that we still don't have work to do in terms of, I'm just going to say, equality, women's rights. I mean, being paid as much as men, like that's still a thing that happens, but we've come really far. And so how I want to relate this is we can still celebrate how far we've come and be a work in progress. So how I can put this into perspective for you is the first thing that comes to mind is health or our bodies. And what I want to say is that we can love ourselves, we can love our bodies, and still want to improve. And this is exactly how I feel where we are at as a society when it comes to parenting roles, gender roles. You can take the masculine route, you can take the feminine route. You can do however you see fit for yourself and your family. And we've come so far. But we still have work to do. We are continuously improving, learning, and growing and evolving as a species, as a human race. So it's just very interesting how we are where we are today. And what I mean by that is if I would have been born 200 years ago or 100 years ago, and I would have had the traditional woman's role at that time, I probably would have still been a leader in some capacity or one of the trailblazers of that era, or I'd be dead. Sometimes I just wonder if I would have even survived had I lived a couple hundred years ago as the woman that I am today. And I don't think that I would have, which is why I am who I am today, and which is why you are who you are today, because women over centuries have blazed this trail for us so that we have the freedoms to interchange our gender roles or as parents. This wasn't always the case. Women traditionally, raised the children and were gatherers and got the water and changed the butts and made sure everybody was taken care of and were servants, for the lack of a better word. While men were the hunters and they were the breadwinners and they traditionally weren't the ones that were the caregivers for the child. And, men had rights way before women did, and men went to war and women stayed home, and, all of these very, very traditional gender roles. And even how some women were treated in the sense that, they were scandalous or they were risque if they showed skin. And I have such an attitude of, I don't even know if I want to say attitude, but I just have such a, I don't give a shit mentality. I'm going to do what's best for me. There is some underlying fears of judgment though. I still have that, what will people think if you do this, or what will people think if you do that? First thing that comes to mind on, my fear when I think of what other people think of me is my business has definitely evolved over the last 5 years. And my underlying fear is, well, what will people think of you if you're teaching this now? Or what will people think of you if you're doing this now? And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? Screw it. I enjoy what I'm doing, and everybody else has no business in my business, basically. But it took me years to get to that point. It wasn't like I flipped a switch overnight. And so going back to, I am just so grateful to be a woman in this day and age. I really, really am. And I feel like every day we are learning more and more about ourselves and how we interact with others and how we are so closely related to Mother Earth, which is a whole nother topic, you guys. Bringing us back to our roots and staying grounded and relearning how to be a human being versus this role society has assigned to us. And so there's just so much to be grateful for, and I wanted to shed some light on that because I've had some kickback that I'm like a man hater, which is in absolutely no way, shape, or form have I ever been, nor will I ever be. And I don't even really relate to the word feminist. My husband would definitely say that I'm a feminist, but I feel like the label of a feminist woman now has almost been very political and very, very, very liberal. Like, you have to be a man-hating woman eater or whatever, woman-hating man eater. I can't remember how they say it. A purple people eater. But that you have to hate men in order to be a feminist. And I feel like that is so not me that I just don't even relate to the word. So now I would say that I am definitely for women's empowerment and even men's empowerment on some aspects, because I feel like men might not be able to share their feelings as openly as women. And women, if they share too much feelings, may be deemed insane or emotional, and heaven forbid that we give any sign of emotion as a human being. So I just find it very, very interesting. And I love when I hear somebody say, if a man cries, like, oh, he's being a sissy. And I'm like, no, he's being a badass, because you don't have the balls to cry in front of somebody, but he does. And I know that may sound counterintuitive to, what society makes you think, but really though, like, it takes balls to be able to be emotional. It's the societal norm to numb out and push all those feelings down. It's the societal norm to just follow the herd and follow the sheep. Everybody go this way because that's where society says we need to be, or not being able to express your feelings and emotions openly. And there's a time and a place. I always say, you don't want to share things when you're wounded. You want to share things as you've healed. And if you're going through something, it's okay to say, like, hey, I'm going through something. I need some time. I need some space. But you don't have to air your dirty laundry at the same time. That's kind of what I mean there. And I just find it fascinating. And I try to keep an open mind on anything and everything that I take in as a person, because I feel like there's so many different ways to approach something. The saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Yes, there is. And just because you do it a different way than I do it doesn't mean that I'm any less right or wrong or indifferent. It's just that we're two people and we have two different ways of doing something. And at one point in time, that was not okay. Like, if you did not do something a specific way, you were shamed, you were shunned, you could even end up dead. And so today is a very great day to be alive, because we are able to have a difference of opinions and love and accept one another for having that difference of opinion, and not come at it from a place of coulda, shoulda, woulda, or finger pointing or judgment. And I know that there is judgment and finger point, and I know that that's very present still, but look how far we've come. Look how many groups and communities have been built just in the last 5 or 10 years as support systems for one another. I think we as humans, I don't even want to say we as society, but like, we as humans are done with that bullshit. And more people are waking up every single day saying, this isn't okay. Like, If men want to stay at home, they can stay at home. If women want to make more money, women can make more money. If I want to start my own business, I can start my own business. If I want to shave my ass and sell the hair to somebody to make a fucking pillow, like, they can do that. It's whatever. I know that was probably a pretty extreme example. I don't even know why that came to mind, but I'm like, if somebody wants to shave their ass, they can shave their freaking ass. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't hurt you, and as long as it's not harming another person, who gives a flying shit? We are free to do as we choose. We are in control of we. Like, you are in control of you. I am in control of me. And when we can understand that, I think it's easier to accept others where they are at and kind of unattach ourselves from their experience, right? Because ultimately, I have no control over what you say or do. I can influence you one way or another, but I can't actually grab the steering wheel and drive the car for you. Like, you are driving your own car. I am driving my own car. I can say, hey, there's a turn up here that would be a really good path to go on, but it's up to you to actually make the turn. And today, you have that choice, whereas you may have not had that choice 200 years ago. So thank you for all of the men and women who have paved this path for us, who have done the hard work. It is now up to us to continue to keep that flame alive, to keep that torch going, and be able to pass that on to the next generation so that they can in turn take that next step. And we'll blaze a little bit more of a trail for them. And then they will do the same thing for the next generation and the next generation. How cool is that? How cool is that? That's all I got for you guys today. I'll catch you next time.